Okay, so how was that? A little Buster Keaton to start off the morning? I think he had a little more agility than Charlie Chaplin. I don't know, but he's certainly very agile. To talk about the general this morning, we're going to have one of the members of the Anvil Orchestra. Please help me welcome Terry Donahue to the stage. At one time, we used to have to explain that the score that they heard was being played live. Some people thought it was married to the film. And you and Roger do it live. You'll explain it. And to help get this started, we will have the moderator, Michael Phillips. And also, I'm very happy to introduce from RogerEbert.com, Nell Minow.
All right. I can't wait to talk about this. It's such fun to see this experience. I mean, in both iterations, Alloy and Anvil Orchestra, it has been such a part of my delight. Every year I've come to Ebertfest, and I don't think I'm alone with that, just saying that. Thank you for the work over the years.
Well, it's our great pleasure, and I was looking at the program and realized I think this is number 20 out of the 26 that we've been able to come here. So thank you all for coming.
And the second time for the General, yes?
The second time for the General. We figured, what a great way to go out, and it's going on 100 years, and it's one of the greatest films ever made, and keeps you on your toes.
So let's talk a little bit about the music, and then we'll talk about the film and the marriage of the two that we just saw and heard. The composer Michael Giacchino, whose first film score was Get Out last night, when I talked to him, he said my father was, or I think it was his grandfather. His grandfather was a tailor, and he made suits, and that's what I do for a living. Giacchino says, I make suits for movies. Now, when you're much preparation and rehearsal, and also much improvisation, is that true that we're here?
It's a beautiful blend. We're not quite married to the film, but we're engaged for quite a while, and we score it out. We are slaves to the scene. So we have sometimes very precise ideas and sometimes kind of basic ideas, and it allows us freedom to play around within. So all of our films are structured, yet there's incredible freedom. So it's kind of perfect.
What would you say what you've learned about scoring comedies, this comedy, that is different from other scoring assignments?
Well, most of the comedies, they're kind of harder because they're usually really fast-paced, and you want the clunk on the head and the kick in the ass and all that stuff. And we were thinking about, this is a classic comedy, and we were looking at it, how do we play the comedy? And then we watched it, and we watched Buster. It's like the comedy takes care of itself. So the only time I think we played up the comedy is with the Union Army trying to figure out how to work the trains. Other than that, Keaton takes care of it itself. So we went more the dramatic route, which I feel is much more fitting. And another thing we were concerned about, because there's a lot of train, you may have noticed, are we going to overdo it? But when you see that title right at the beginning, these are Buster's two loves, the lovely young woman and the train. We're like, all right, this is a main character. This needs to be important. So the trick is for me to try to make it sound a little different every time, so you're not like, oh, that goddamn train again. So hopefully I did that, and we did that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Now, you've probably loved this film a long time, but talk to us a little bit about what kind of struck you in this particular screening, and just in general, a little context about the film and its kind of bittersweet place in Keaton's career in many ways. Although I think time is sort of taking care of some of that.
Definitely, yes. This is one of only 2 films that I have posters of in my home. The first one that I got a poster of. And so I've loved it for a long, long time. This is only the 2nd time I've seen it on a big screen, so that was a great pleasure for me. Yeah, the movie, first I want to say a couple things about Buster Keaton. In case you want to know how he got the name Buster, the legend is, and I'm just going to prefer to believe the legend whether it's true or not, he came from a vaudeville family, and his parents put him in the act when he was basically a toddler. And they readily threw him around, and he didn't cry. And they were on the bill with Harry Houdini, who said, boy, that kid is a buster. And that's how he got his name. One thing that I noticed from this particular viewing, I really want to recommend to all of you the book by Dana Stevens, who's been at the festival, the Slate film critic, about Buster Keaton called Cameraman, and it's about his life and times and his films. And so I was rereading what she wrote about the General yesterday, and one thing she said that I really noticed and appreciated and clocked more on this viewing is the way that it sort of, the first half winds it up in one direction, and then it unwinds it with a lot of callbacks to the jokes from the first section and the second section. So the train goes this way, and we have the water, and we have the switching, and we have the fuel, and then the train comes back this way, and we see all of that played out in a different way. So I really appreciated that this time.
Fantastic book. I got to second that. Dana Stevens, who, when anyone who's heard her speak here, when she's been to the Ebertfest, she's excellent. That book is one of the best film books of the last 20 years, I think.
Yeah. And she was the one in the film yesterday, the last movie critic. She was the one who said that when she was in high school, she wrote a letter to Roger, and he wrote her back.
Write him. I mean, just write him back, and then you get a festival going. I mean, it's just, I love it. He knew how to. Roger knew how to just sow the seeds for the future. The film was not a success at the time. It was not it's not that nobody went, but it was also a very expensive film. It was at that moment where Keaton could have commanded a big chunk of money because he'd had successes for several years, shorts and then features, it was just not particular. It was a bit of a victim of timing, right? We had a Civil War comedy that nobody remembers. I have not seen.
Hands Up.
Yeah, Hands Up, which I hear it's actually got some defenders now, but it came out, it beat it to the theaters by a few months, and it was a big success. It was about a Confederate spy, kind of a scoundrel character, and people were not really in the mood for a second one. And I think this film has a different sort of mission than other Keaton features. It's a different kind of funny. It's also kind of visually so imposing, and it's just gorgeous. It's by far the most beautiful film he ever made. And what I really appreciated with the music is just how you didn't crowd it. You don't crowd what with the funny bits, and you're also it's sort of like you're playing into the real beauty of the picture. That's what kind of hit me this time. I wonder how it goes for you.
Well, thank you, and that's certainly what we try to. And it's hard, Here we are, banging on drums, and we don't want to ever overwhelm these films, but we want them to be powerful. So it seems like a very fine line. But we definitely, you want to keep it going, and you want you to feel everything. But we don't want to distract, which is not always easy when you're hitting things and smashing things. But ideally, we want people to forget we're there. That's the one side, and then the other side wants us to forget the movie's there and watch us. Mostly we want you to forget we're there. So that's the nicest compliment we can ever get.
Well, we'll go to some questions from the audience in just a minute. But okay, I'm going to hit you for some specifics as quickly as you can swing it. You talk about banging on things. I think they probably have names, even if they're not conventional instruments. Let's hear what you had today for us.
Well, today most of them are conventional instruments. We do have a few found items hanging here. I just call it the bent metal sheet that I happened to find some 35 years ago at an early gig in New York City. We did our sound check. We're heading to dinner, and there was a pile of garbage. And I just looked. I like that piece of garbage. I picked it up and hid it, and I hung it up, and it's been hung up for every show we've ever done. So that's a love story in and of itself. It sounds really beautiful and creepy when I bow it. So there's a number of films where I bow it, so that and then you can play it. It sounds like thunder. That's a lot of the thunder stuff. Also like a negative sound of the gongs. And then we have we call the cake pans, which aren't cake pans, but they're sort of I call them a randomly tuned steel drum kind of instrument that I was working at a restaurant, because of course I was a musician, so I had to work at a restaurant. And they have these spring-loaded cylinders that you put different plates on. And these are the top plates, so all different sizes. And one day the restaurant said, we're throwing them away. And I said, no, I need them. And I didn't have a car. They said, well, you have to take them now. So I unscrewed the tops of them. I really wanted the cylinders, and I was going to build this whole thing. But I use those, and they're a little more portable.
What do you hit them with?
I hit them with mallets, timpani mallets generally. You can use regular drumsticks, but they're a little too abrasive, so timpani mallets soften them a little bit. And there's a little set of homemade wood blocks that a friend of mine made for me, too.
Now, tell us a little bit about the specifics that kind of went into his biggest budget ever, really, I think, that he worked on.
Film history, and it did almost bankrupt the United Artists, which was sometimes referred to in retrospect as the Heaven's Gate of its day, except that nobody liked Heaven's Gate. And people, although this got mixed reviews when it came out, it was, as Michael said, so expensive. It really affected the trajectory of Buster Keaton's career, and it was very hard for him to do in the future. But this film was made, even though it's set in the South, it was made in Oregon, which they thought was more similar to the landscape of the South that was 80 or 90 years before. That was the Oregon National Guard, playing both the Confederates and the Unions. And when I say that, I mean it was the exact same people. And Buster Keaton said in an interview, I would have them put on the gray suits in the morning, and then they would run in one direction, and then we'd have them put in the blue suits, and they would run in the other direction.
$150,000 is what it cost for that bridge collapse on the train going down, and that's almost $3 million in today's money. So great filmmakers can get to that point in their careers where they just want to take it a little further, and it wasn't for really a conventional laugh. That's what I had forgotten until this time I realized it's not really meant to get a laugh until you get the reaction a little bit, but it's just more about serving the story they've set up, simple as it is, and it's just so kind of part of this epic visual experience the film is. And it's amazing to me to think that it is actually closer in time to 1861 than it is to today. And it really feels like, and everyone sort of used the Matthew Brady comparison, but it looks like, this really looks like a leaflet of Matthew Brady photographs.
He actually used Matthew Brady photographs as reference, so yes, definitely. And, you have to remember, he wrote it, he directed it, he starred in it, and he did all of those stunts himself. Yeah.
I believe he surprised his co-star with that water scene. She did not know that was coming, so the story goes, her reaction was quite genuine.
She was game, boy. I tell you, put her in that sack.
You kind of have to be. If you're going to work with him, you better be game.
Yeah, I wouldn't look to it for like relational advice necessarily, the film, but yeah. Let's hear from some folks out here who would like to ask Terry or.
We have a question in the balcony, all the way to your left in the balcony.
Got it. Hello.
I'm going to do a very quick thank you. I apologize that it's not a question. Thank you for this wonderful experience and for over the years, Ebertfest teaching us, and the Anvil and the Alloy, teaching us what can be communicated without words. I think that's a beautiful gift. And you also gave me a beautiful gift when you presented The Black Pirate, because I was able to bring my dad. He was 84, and he had seen it at the movies when he was 7.
Aw.
And boy, did we have a good time. So thank you.
That's great.
Well, yes, thank you. When we first started, there were a lot of people who would bring their grandparents. And so I remember when I first saw this, not so much anymore, sadly, but it's, I saw this when it came out, and I like your version better. It was, how can you don't mind hearing that?
Well, the General played this theater in early 1927.
Wow.
So here we are. Nobody here has just stayed on from that. But next up, please.
In the balcony again to your left.
Yeah.
Hi, I saw this when you were the Alloy Orchestra at the first at Ebertfest, and now at the Anvil. And then I've also seen it like 20 times because we recorded that on Turner Classic Movies with the soundtrack. Since it went from 3 to 2 people, did you have to change the composition of the score at all with all the timed sound effects and things since there's only 2 of you now?
Well, that's a good question. Basically, what I did was I added a bass drum that I stepped on, which completely took care of the other fellow's parts. And, it's a little rewarding, too. No, that's,
So you're getting your steps in, too.
I'm getting
That's
my
great.
steps in, and I'm kicking him a little bit for all those years. There were some adjustments. It's sort of a hybrid of kind of parts. I would think of which parts and some are more important in my mind, and so I would try to blend the two. But just having that extra foot kind of solved all my problems.
That's great. Who's up? I see it, and we have contact.
Hello there. Listen, back in the old days, they used to have the silent films, but they used to have like a piano player setting up on the stage. He didn't always know how to play the piano very well, but how did you guys decide that you could do better than that?
Well, better than that is subjective. And it's not really like we made a conscious decision. Some 35 years ago, we were living in Boston, and there was a film programmer who we were friends with, and he wanted to show the restored version of Metropolis that they did in the mid-'80s, which was a lovely restoration, but he didn't think that Pat Benatar, Loverboy, Adam Ant, and Freddie Mercury, their music was really appropriate for a 1920s German science fiction film. So he said, hey, maybe you guys can, write a score, we'll play for a weekend, you might make $1. And we're like, all right, sure, we're in. And the first night we played to about 50 people. The next night it was about 200 people. And the third night we sold out the theater at 650. So immediate word of mouth. I said, all right, I think we're onto something. So now it's the 35-year weekend of my life. Yeah.
Terry,
Excellent.
I've got a question for Terry. So when you are composing, I presume you're watching the movie while you compose. So you've seen this movie innumerable times. Do you have a favorite scene?
Favorite scene? Yes. They're in the train, and the bad guys are coming, and she's sweeping. And he throws the broom off the thing and says, no, we got to feed the thing. So he puts a little stick in, and he picks up that tiny little one. Hands it to her, and she throws it right in there, and then he does this and then kisses her. So I feel like I've kind of been there, except for the choking part. But I feel, other than that, I feel like I've kind of been there in relationships. So that's my favorite.
What do we have? What does that mean? One more? One more. Wrap it up. Get the hell out of here. All right. I'm not going to throw. I'm just going to say this in closing, and it goes back to Roger. This festival started with the name the Overlooked Film Festival. And not that this film has been overlooked for much of the 20th century and the 21st, but it was at the time. And good film, any film, needs champions if they're passionate and sincere. And with comedy in particular, sometimes it's just not their time when those movies come out. Marx Brothers, did not do well with Duck Soup. Lost them their contract with Paramount. Bringing Up Baby did not do well at the time. Jacques Tati's Playtime, which owes everything to Keaton, not well at all. I mean, just almost financially ruined Jacques Tati. And these films have a way of coming back around and saying, you know, you were all wrong. But the writing of oh, sorry, I have no thoughts now without the notes I'm not referring to. The writing, Roger's writing on this film and so much else has kind of just reminded us, I think, that any film can be overlooked and any film can be rediscovered and reaffirmed. And I think just the act of coming here, as we have been for all these years, particularly with the silence and what we've heard while we watched what we saw, has meant the world to me. And I know I'm not alone there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And to your point, I mean, what's the most important thing in comedy? Timing.
Terry Donahue, ladies and gentlemen.
Roger
And-
Miller is out there waiting to sell you stuff. So if you like, he'll sell you stuff.
All right. Thanks for staying around, folks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Roger Miller said he's in the East Lobby, and there is other merchandise in the East Lobby. While we're doing a changeover, those of you who have passes can stay, but those who have individual tickets are lined up outside for the next movie, Mi Familia. While we're letting them in, we have one giveaway for you. How many of you remember a disc jockey named Dick Biondi? Okay. If Dick Biondi means anything to you, we have a few. There's a new movie about him called The Voice That Rocked America, the Dick Biondi story. And I have a few. I think I saw someone there in the front row. I only have 5 to give away, so will 5 people meet me here if you would like a Dick Biondi? If you're in the balcony and you can't come down, just see me afterwards because I have 2 more that I was putting aside for someone. I'll give them to you. I know it's difficult for you to come down. But 5 people from the floor, if you'd like a Dick Biondi movie, The Voice That Rocked America, come right here. I'll give it, oh, here, yes, you. You're welcome. All right, thank you. Here, you're welcome. The Voice That Rocked America. They just did the Dick Biondi story, and they're doing it for, will you hand this to her, please? Uh-oh. What? At the Oh, this movie just won an award at the Route 66 Film Festival. Here you are in Springfield. You know what? Let me see. I think, one moment, stay right there. Okay. Did you do the pictures for this? Yeah, we did. Did Terry? Yeah, we did. Okay, good.